Welcome back to Tackle on My Mind. What's on my mind today? Well, it's time for another Tackle on My Mind fireside chat. Got myself all nice and gussied up here for you so we can do this little fireside chat nice and proper. So, topic for today, I started thinking of something that really helped me as I made it through the season last year, mostly fishing tackle tournaments and stuff like that. Ended up fishing Ohio kayak fishing tournament towards the end of the season. Ended up actually winning that tournament. Kind of took some things all the way through the season that kind of build up to that. So, you can use this tournament fishing or just obviously if you're just out fishing for fun sometime. But what I started to really hone in on towards the end of the year is fishing your strength. And what does that mean? What does that mean to me? What does that mean to each angler? So I'm kind of going to do a little talk here about what is fishing your strength. How do you find out what your strength in fishing is? Touched on it in my last fireside chat about that TOW, time on the water, that tow. Think about that. Best way to develop anything in fishing is just spend a lot of time on the water trying to figure it all out, experiment, figure out what you like to do. So that's, I think the number one important thing. The other one is, how do you like to fish? Maybe kind of what is your personality? What are you really laid back? You don't need much excitement. You're good, just kind of very relaxed type of person, a lot of patience. Can throw that worm out there, that jig out there, those slow moving baits, let them sit a little bit. That Ned rigs, let that sit there a little bit and hoping a fish comes along and catches it, and you can catch a lot of fish that way. Or do you like moving around a little bit? Do you like constantly throwing it out, cranking it in? Do you like to search for fish? That's kind of where I fit in. I can do a little bit of both, but I've discovered my strength is fishing moving baits. I just enjoy it. And that's the other big part about how you find your strength is, how do you enjoy fishing? What is fun for you? There may be times where someone's catching them the opposite way. If you like the moving baits, someone might be soaking a worm all day long and catching more than you. But if you do that, are you having fun? And I think that's where the bottom line is. You got to have fun while you're doing this. So then, once you find that style, what baits fit into that style? Again, if I like moving baits, I'm going to be throwing my crankbaits, my square bills, my lipless crankbaits, my chatterbaits, some spinner baits, my hybrid hunter, maybe some swim baits along those lines, some top water. If you like getting into top water at certain times of the year, your buzz baits, your whopper ploppers, all your top waters are moving baits. If you like doing that searching and finding your flukes a little bit, jerk baits, all those moving baits, do you like using those? Fit into that. If you're more of that, you don't want to be moving, you don't want to be reeling all the time, you want to pick apart areas a little bit more. You got your curly tail worm, your straight tail worm, the many ways you can rig that. You got your Ned rigs, you got your jigs, your shaky head, your drop shot, things like that fit into that. So again, time on the water, you kind of discover different things. How do you like catching fish? And then kind of keep working on that. And then you kind of take in consideration where you're going. What is the structure of most of the lakes? And if you go back to my fireside chat, number one, the video I did, talked about those books you can use to find different places. It'll give you some idea of what the structure is like. But once you're there, you can see it too. Do you have a lot of grass? Is it going to be a lot of rocks? Is there trees? Is there lay down trees in the water? Is there standing timber in the water? Is it a very deep, is it a deep reservoir? Or is it a shallow little lake or natural bay pond? Or, maybe even a river system? Those types of things. Then maybe, can kind of get into that water clarity, and temperature can kind of fit into that too. If the body of water you're fishing is always, kind of dark, or stained, kind of dirty water, the baits will kind of fit into that, but you can still fish that same style of whatever your strength is. And then time of year can come into it too. In colder water, Fish don't move as much, but I know a lot of people who do a lot of speed cranking and catch a lot of fish. A lot of guys fish a lot of jigs in cold water, catch a lot of fish. The heat of summer, when you think fish are kind of lethargic and slowing down too, you think slowing down, throwing a worm might be a better, but I know a lot of people, and myself included, that'll throw a moving bait past a fish in some areas where they are when it's, water temps are up almost 90 degrees, and you can still catch them that way if you find the right spots. And that's a total another story there. But so how do you again develop that strength? So for me, I like the moving baits. Some ideas of that. So if I go to most of our lakes here in Northwest Ohio, got a lot of grass. So I got to find some baits that do well in grass. Your spinner baits, your willow leaf spinner baits can move through grass pretty well. Chatter baits do really well in the grass. There's a moving bait for you. Lipless crankbaits tend to come through grass pretty good. I love those in the spring, a little bit in the fall. For some reason, I don't fish them in the summer, and I really don't know if there's a good reason for that. Other than people say don't fish your lipless crankbaits in the summer. I start fishing other baits. Talked a lot about that bait. I really fell in love with last year. Jumped down the rabbit hole, got a bunch of them, can't wait for this year. And that's that striking hybrid hunter. That thing loves coming through grass. You can fish it a foot of water, and they got the regular hybrid hunter fishes, 4 feet of water and stuff like that. Again, water depth comes to that too. Now, if I'm on a grassy lake that's, 30 feet deep and the grass is up shallow, I'm going to have to, I can still fish that. But if the grass is getting a little deeper and the fish aren't up shallow and I'm fishing 10 feet, well, then I'm going to pull out maybe a spinner bait or a chatter bait or something like that. That'll still come through the grass. You get to a lot of our upland reservoirs up here, those reservoirs that are water supplies for municipalities lined with rock. Fish like the rock. A great bait I found are some crankbaits. You throw a square bill crankbait in shallow water, watching it bounce off that rock. I catch a lot of fish that way. I started getting in a little bit more deep cranking baits, so I can get down a little bit deeper and try still catching fish that way. Again, that's how I like to fish it. Could I also probably throw a worm in those situations? Absolutely. Could I throw some jigs in those situations? Absolutely. A few years ago, I was fishing a tournament and happened to be right next to a guy, and we were fishing kind of the same area. It all had grass, shallow water, 4 feet and less. I was throwing lipless crankbaits, swim jigs. There's another one, great one for grassy situations, lots of cover, and chatterbait. He was throwing a jig. We both caught about the same amount of fish. I think he caught a couple inches longer than me, ended up finishing higher in that tournament. But proof from the pudding right there, that's how he likes to fish. He loves the jig, he likes to punch, he likes to, that slower presentation. Catches them, we were literally within 20 yards of each other sharing this spot, and I was throwing moving baits and we were both catching them. That's what I like to do. Do I need to expand on that? Absolutely. Now, there's the other part of that. Find that strength, and then after you develop it and you go out and you have some success, like I said, I like moving baits. You can expand on that. Find some more different moving baits that might work in different situations. Go out and practice that a little bit. But then also, I'm not adverse at all to picking up a stick worm, wacky rig style or Texas style, weightless, and throwing that around some laydowns or even pulling it through some grass. I've caught a lot of fish that way. I'll, do a weighted Texas rig worm at times. Now, where I haven't done as good in slow, I'm not much of a shaky head, but I'm going to try that a little bit more this year, try to expand on that. So there's a style. I don't do much drop shot, and maybe I'll give that a shot a little bit this year. Last season, I didn't do much frog fishing. Prior to that, I had a few situations where I just went out and threw a frog all day long. And had a blast. Didn't catch every fish that I should have, but I had a blast doing it. So I'm expanding on that. There's another tournament that I fished in. The conditions just looked like, this is buzzbait. I ended up throwing a buzzbait and caught a really nice bag. You know, for our tackle fishing is over 50 inches for 3 fish, and that's a pretty nice bag of, you know, fish for that, throwing a buzzbait all night long. So expanding on that, but again, there's that moving style. That's what I like to do. I like the moving style. If you're the same, use that as your strength. And where that comes in is there was a tournament towards the end of the year last year. I probably could have caught them a lot of ways, but I decided, you know, this is what I like to do. This is how I like to catch fish. I'm going to find the spots. I'm going to throw these baits, and we're going to catch them. Now, I'm not that stubborn that if the day would have went on too far, I probably would have went something else. I will usually slow down, but it's a tough thing for me to do sometimes, and it's not always been a good thing. I didn't do so well in a tournament a couple years ago because I was determined I was going to make the, you know, throw moving baits, and I was going to, I thought I could force the fish to bite, basically, and when I went up through a Texas rig worm, I started catching them. It was just too late in the day. But again, how are you going to have fun? So find your strength, spend that time on the water, experiment with different baits. Maybe it's only one. Maybe you only like throwing that Texas rib curly tail worm. You know, expand your colors then. Try some different colors at different times. Try some different weights. Try some different ways you present that bait, the way you move that bait, different areas you throw it and things like that. And then expand, that becomes your strength, expand on it. I think when you do that, find your strength, go out and fish your strength. You will have fun fishing, and that's the most important thing. And also you'll catch yourself a bunch of fish. So if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button. I mentioned the last one. I know I get a lot of people watching, but more people watching than I have subscribers. So some of you got to hit that subscribe button. Help me out here. Help yourself out. Well, get the whole channel helping here. Hit that like button. Hit the share button. Tell some friends about it. Come back to Tackle on My Mind again. We'll have some more fireside chats here. Too cold for me to go out fishing today. I can't do my videos outside, but I got this nice fireplace going here. Don't have a fire in it yet. Got some nice candles there. Still got the Christmas decorations up, but that's okay. Christmas can go forever, right? Okay, thanks for joining me. Hit that subscribe, hit that like, hit that share button. Leave me a comment if you like.